Welcome to MojoTravels, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 most historic destinations in the U.S. Are you a fan of our videos? Be sure to subscribe to MojoTravels and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at historically significant sites across America that are forever entwined with the country's identity. Number 10. Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum, Boston, Massachusetts. No taxation without representation. It's one of the most famous political slogans in American history, and will always be linked to the Boston Tea Party. On May 10, 1773, the Tea Act was passed by Parliament, giving the British East India Company a stranglehold on tea sales in the 13 colonies. On May 16th, protesters retaliated by destroying and dumping a tea shipment. This integral moment in American history has been immortalized at the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum. Visitors will find themselves immersed in reenactments, interactive exhibits, and replicas of the Eleanor and Beaver ships. The museum even possesses the Robinson Tea Chest, the only Boston Tea Party chest known to still exist. You can, naturally, enjoy a cup of tea as well. Number 9. Arlington National Cemetery, Arlington County, Virginia. Virginia was home to the New World's first permanent English colony, Jamestown. While you'll find no shortage of fascinating facts there, Arlington National Cemetery is arguably Virginia's most iconic site, as well as the most poignant. The federal government took control of the property in 1864, almost a year before the Civil War ended, and the estate was established as a military cemetery. Today, it serves as a resting place for roughly 400,000 souls, and not just from the Civil War. Veterans from both World Wars, the Vietnam War, and other conflicts are buried here, connecting entire generations. Number 8. ALCATRAZ Island, San Francisco, California. From 1934 to 1963, ALCATRAZ Island was the last place anybody wanted to be. Situated in San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz may be the most famous prison in U.S. history, housing inmates like Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud, also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz. Now, instead of trying to escape from Alcatraz, people visit the abandoned prison via a ferry ride. Upon arriving at the dock, visitors can take an audio tour of the cell house. In addition to the prison, the island also features one of the oldest functioning lighthouses on the U.S. West Coast. Who would have guessed that a notorious prison would one day transform into a national park? Number 7. Pearl Harbor National Memorial, Honolulu, Hawaii. Few dates in U.S. history stir up more emotion than December 7, 1941. On this tragic day, 4 U.S. battleships were sunk, another 4 were damaged, and over 2,000 people lost their lives. In response to this military strike, America officially joined World War II. Even decades after the war ended, the wounds left at Pearl Harbor are still present. Nowhere is this more apparent than at the USS Arizona, the only sunken ship that wasn't raised. America would rise up, however, eventually commemorating the fallen with the USS Arizona Memorial, established on May 30, 1962. The Pearl Harbor National Memorial is rounded out with memorials dedicated to the USS Utah and USS Oklahoma. Number 6. The Alamo Mission, San Antonio, Texas. If you were born and raised in Texas, there's little doubt that you visited this Spanish mission with your classmates or family. The site served as the setting for the Battle of the Alamo, which lasted 13 days in 1836. Outnumbered, almost all of the Alamo mission's defenders died, including Davy Crockett. Although Texas lost this battle, remember the Alamo served as a rally cry at the Battle of San Jacinto, which ended with Mexico's defeat and Texas's independence. Today, people still remember the Alamo by visiting the historic fortress where William B. Travis, James Bowie, and others once stood. Whether you prefer a guided or self-guided tour, you'll walk away with a piece of that Texas spirit with you. Number 5. Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. When people think of Yellowstone, stunning nature walks, majestic wildlife, and camping under the stars come to mind. What some might not realize is that the park is also rich in American history. Before the park was even established, Lewis and Clark expedition member John Coulter passed through part of the area. Few believed his stories at the time, describing it as Coulter's Hell. But the myth was eventually proven true. Yellowstone became America's first national park on March 1, 1872, when President Ulysses S. Grant made it official. The Old Faithful Inn was built in 1904, providing a view of the geyser that inspired the hotel's name. Grand Prismatic Spring, Yellowstone Lake, and Mammoth Hot Springs are just some of its other historic landmarks. Number 4. Grand Canyon, Arizona. The Grand Canyon is another American treasure that entices visitors with its far-reaching beauty. The exploration and endless views are the main reasons to visit. To learn more about the canyon's vast history, though, there are several centers and museums worth checking out. The South Rim Visitor Center houses a variety of artifacts and exhibits, as well as a 20-minute movie entitled Grand Canyon: A Journey of Wonder. There's more knowledge to be unearthed at the North Rim Center, the Yavapai Geology Museum, and the Tusayan Ruins. While the park overflows with natural splendor, it also encompasses architectural wonders like the Desert View Watchtower, one of architect Mary Coulter's most famous creations. With so much to learn, the Grand Canyon is eye-opening in more ways than one. Number 3. Gettysburg National Military Park, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. For a trip through American history, you'll find it around every corner in Pennsylvania. Independence Hall not only provides a backdrop for the Liberty Bell, but also serves as a birthplace for the Declaration of Independence and U.S. Constitution. The most immersive site, though, is Gettysburg National Military Park. Enduring from July 1st to July 3rd, 1863, the Battle of Gettysburg was one of the North's most essential victories during the Civil War. 4.5 months later, President Lincoln honored the fallen soldiers during his historic Gettysburg Address speech. People continue to honor the deceased by visiting this park, which offers battle walks and campfire programs. Relics from the Civil War can also be found at the Gettysburg Museum and Visitor Center. Number 2. Statue of Liberty, New York, New York. New York is practically synonymous with the American dream. As such, we could have included any number of New York landmarks on this list, but there are only so many that inspire patriotism like the Statue of Liberty. The iconic 305-foot statue, which was gifted to the U.S. by France. 6 years after the statue was dedicated, nearby Ellis Island's first immigration inspection station opened. Over the following 32 years, almost 12 million immigrants would be processed. For numerous immigrants arriving at port, the Statue of Liberty represented the promise of a better life, as well as an embodiment of the notion that the country was built by people from around the world. Number 1. The White House, Washington, D.C. It doesn't get much more American than Washington, D.C. We easily could have populated this list with nothing but landmarks from this city, such as the Capitol Building. Of all these historic sites, however, nothing sums up America quite like the White House. Every U.S. president other than George Washington has taken up residence in this sandstone mansion. While some administrations have been less controversial than others, the White House not only represents the presidency, but the American people and those who believe in the American dream. From the Red Room to the East Wing to the State Dining Room, there are hundreds of years of history in the White House. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MojoTravels, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.